Hello, everyone. As you can see, we are at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Yard of Bricks right here. I'm Michael Massie. This is Alex Gintz, Christopher DeHarde, and the boss man himself, Tom Bowles, here for Frontstretch.com. And we just witnessed a crazy day of qualifying for the Indy 500. Robert Shwartzman. Could any of you predicted that he would be your pole winner for the biggest race in the world? Alex?
I don't think anybody thought that Robert Shwartzman was going to make it into the Fast 12, let alone onto the pole. And like we were talking about before we came down here, how far back do you have to go, guys, to find a rookie driver and a rookie team putting their car on the pole for the greatest spectacle in racing? It's absolutely insane. Not only is Schwartzman on the least experienced team in the field, but he's also probably the least experienced driver as far as IndyCar competition goes on that team. Callum Ilott has been here before. Callum Ilott has turned laps around this track at pace, so this is unexpected in every way, shape, and form, every sense of the word.
You wanted the stats for it. I believe Christopher's got some stats regarding Schwartzman over here.
Yes, to actually go back to your first question, I had to admit, before the season started, I didn't even think he was going to make the Indy 500. You think about the fact that you have a rookie team here, a team with no oval experience, Schwartzman with no oval experience at all, except for, I think, a preseason test at Nashville Super Speedway down there. I didn't even have him making the race originally. He did something incredible today, and we should really applaud him for that. Now, to go back in time a little bit, this is the third driver in Indy 500 history to have actually won the pole on speed. Walt Faulkner back in, I believe it was 1950. Teo Fabi back in I think it was 50. Then in 1983, Teo Fabi in I believe it was Forsyth Racing back then, and now Schwartzman in 2025. Now, before anybody tries to say anything about it, Tony Stewart did start on pole in 1996, but he did not qualify on the pole. He got the pole after Scott Brayton suffered an accident in practice that unfortunately took his life after winning the pole. But I digress. This is the first rookie team to win the 500 pole since 1984 when Teddy Mayer's team won the pole with Tom Sneva, who, by the way, was the first driver to go 210 miles an hour in 1984, same year. Incredible, just an incredible job. Really, it was just crazy because I spoke with Ryan Briscoe after qualifying, and he said Robert's traces looked really good through the week. And after, I believe it was Fast Friday, Robert talked about what had gone on, and he said, Ryan Briscoe said, this is the worst it's going to get. And I think that gave Robert a bit more confidence as he went into Saturday, got into the Fast 12, qualified sixth fastest, and then lo and behold, he's on top of the number one right up there in the pagoda. That's right next to us here. Front stretch on the front stretch. Gotta love it, Michael.
Absolutely. And now, Tom, you had a great vantage point of it all. I'm sure you saw the crowd going absolutely wild. And you've been here all week. Tell me about the progress of this Prema team to get him to the pole here.
I just want to say this is a guy that hasn't started higher than 18th in his IndyCar career. First race on an oval. I think some betting markets had him 5,001 to win the pole. So if you put a $1 down, you're treating people tonight to a heck of a steak dinner. A steak dinner, if I should say so. At St. Elmo's in Indy. Just what they were able to do and how they were able to come together. You look at even today. He sits there. He doesn't go out for practice for the top 12. And it looked like they were going to play it conservative, right? They were just happy to be there because this is the first time they've made the top 12, Prema, since they entered the IndyCar series. And then he just lays out there a fast first lap. And that was the theme, guys, of all of his qualifying efforts. It was like, what he didn't know didn't hurt him because he laid it all on the line. He just went to the wild edge. And that was how he was able to get over the top. Laps 2, 3, and 4, he started to fall off. But because he just had so much speed and he put it all on the line in the first lap every time, that's what got him over the hump. And what an unbelievable performance for Prema. And, it changes the course of their entire season no matter what happens in the Indy 500.
Yeah, that Schwartzman, he's a rapper, so he needs a song called "That Schwartzman is a Fast Man" or something like that. May the Schwartz be with you always. Joining him on the front row is two-time Indy 500 winner Takuma Sato. Christopher, You're writing about him. What do you have to say about Takuma's performance?
Well, Takuma's motto around here is no attack, no chance, and he's lived that almost his entire career. He's 48 years old. You know, they all used to say there are bold racing drivers and there are old racing drivers, but there's no bold old racing drivers, and he's always willing to lay it out there on the ragged edge. Just trying to go over the speeds here. His qualifying average was 232.478 miles per hour. Really, really, really quick. And this is a brand new car. He wrecked on the second day of the April Open test, April 24th. They had less than 3 weeks to build up a brand new car. A 94G hit right behind us over there in turn number 1. The seat he was sitting in actually cracked. They had to build up a brand new car over the span of 3 weeks, all new body fit. They had to do I'm pretty sure they had to do a brand new gearbox as well. And there's a lot of things you have to do to make these cars go fast on a super speedway. They did everything day and night to make that thing work. And every single time he's qualified better than 4th, he's won here. He qualified 4th here in 2017. He was on the outside of the front row back in 2020. He's 2nd this year. Ooh, that's going to bode pretty well for him. And then Pato Award in 3rd place. What a hell of a run from Pato.
Yeah, and, it was supposed to be a fast 12 here today, but we got robbed of that because we only got the fast 9. Because only 9 cars actually attempted to qualify, in the top half of the field. Alex, Team Penske.
Yeah.
I mean, the team that literally owns the track, 20 Indy 500 wins. They didn't even lay down a lap today. You had McLaughlin with the early crash. And then what happened with Joseph Newgarden and Will Power?
Well, I'm taking the mic since these two guys did as well. Yeah, first of all, it's a crazy contrast. Team Penske owns this speedway. They own the series. Roger Penske does. They're expected to run well here. And instead, we're talking, what a great day for Robert Shwartzman, Totemo Sogoine for Takuma Sato. Penske is just by default starting in the 4th row. Scott McLaughlin's crash this morning, first of all, fantastic that he's okay. Fantastic that comparatively the speedway was okay after all that.
There was a gouge in the track surface.
Yes. Took a whole chunk out of the track surface that the cars could not be allowed to run over. We don't see that. It's been a while since we had one of these months of May where there were all these crashes. But all of that being said, very, very little of value coming out of Team Penske about this. The story is very, very interesting, would be the diplomatic term. I know, yeah, exactly. Allegedly, Will Power's car made it through tech. Joseph Newgarden's car did not make it through tech. The team decided to not take the chance with Will Power and pull his car off the grid rather than take the risk of it being caught out later. Now, yes, exactly. Now, gentlemen, I don't know about you guys. I rather admire, the only thing I admire about NASCAR is that old adage, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. I don't know what kind of race team is not willing to take the risk once they've got the car through tech. So, hopefully we'll see a bit more out of Penske, but how things have gone with them and the officials, especially with the season opener last year, it's very, very strange, Massie.
Absolutely, sure is. Now, the thing I love about the qualifying today, there's not just drama at the front of the field. There's drama for those final 3 spots, that last row, and today it came down to teammates. Tom, tell me about that Dale Coyne Racing finale.
I'm happy to. I'm going to briefly go rogue before getting into Dale Coyne and the heartbreak that we saw today. I think one thing that we haven't really talked about with Penske, or nobody's brought up, that crash this morning, how it could have maybe affected Ganassi and their runs, right? If you're Alex Palou and you're Scott Dixon and you've got a car that can win the race, are you going to really, really push it in that Fast 6 when we've already seen a couple of really major crashes here in the last 2 days? Colton Herta, another great driver, losing control, and we've seen the wind really mess with these cars. So interesting how so much at Penske today may have affected what we saw on day 2. As far as Dale Coyne Racing, Rinus Veekay came in, guys. He had an average start of 3.8 in his first 5 Indy 500s. This was a guy that's so used to starting near the front, and what we learned, Rinus has done a great job in getting finishes out of Dale Coyne Racing, but he just hasn't been able to, find the speed at Indy, you have engineering support and you need all this other stuff in Indy that unfortunately Coyne Racing doesn't have compared to some of the bigger teams. And so it was between Veekay and Jacob Abel. Veekay was still able to slot into the 33rd starting spot, and Jacob Abel ended up being the odd man out, guys. It's the weirdest thing about the 500 where teammates battling against each other for the final spot. It's always heartbreaking to see somebody miss the race, and especially when you're knocking out your own teammate.
Abel was unable.
Abel was unable. And Rinus, like, taking that gamble at the end to throw away the time he had that was in the field to run again, like, that was a crazy move. Almost didn't pay off, but it ultimately did. Gentlemen, we got the Indy 500 coming up. We'll have some content coming out from Carb Day, but the next, like, real competitive thing we'll have is the Indy 500. Let's make some predictions, okay? Let's make some crazy, wild predictions. Alex, who's going to win the greatest spectacle in racing?
The people who know me know that I am obligated to say that Takuma Sato is going to become a 3-time winner in 2025.
Christopher.
You know, it's crazy because of what I mentioned earlier about Sato. I'm just looking at the results here.
Say it.
You know what? Part of me really wants to say Newgarden. I think Pato gets it this year.
Oh, he's due, man. In his mind, he has 3 straight runner-ups. Tom.
So I need to see more. I know I'm copping out a little bit, but certainly Ganassi, just because they're not on the front row, doesn't mean they don't have the speed. And Scott Dixon, man, he has great race pace this week, and I think he's someone that you can't count out. Somebody that might be able to snooker and pull an upset over Pillow down the stretch.
As we have a truck heading towards us that hopefully doesn't run us over. My pick for it, to quote the late great Lee Diffie, he's not gone, he's not dead, but he's not dead. He's just no longer with us on the IndyCar side.
We're gonna have to redo this here at the tail end.
No. To quote him, "Hello, Polo." Alex Pillow. He's won everything else this year but one race. He's gonna win his first oval race, his first Indy 500. He's looked good in practice all week. I don't see why not. That'll be it for us. You can look for all of our content on frontstretch.com, as well as the Frontstretch Open Wheel, the FS Open Wheel YouTube page. For Christopher DeHarde, for Alex Gintz and Tom Bowles, I'm Michael Massie. Good night.
Alex Gintz for Frontstretch.com. Come back for more great racing content, and if you like us, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.